and if you just pull back from the immediate political battles. If you kind of peel off the partisan war paint, then we should be able to get something done. And I think the speaker would like to get that done. I think an environment needs to be created within not just the House Republican caucus, but also among Senate Republicans that say, the campaign is over and let's see if we can do what's right for the country at least for the next month. And then we can re-engage in all the other battles that they'll want to fight. Question: if you don't get it done? Republicans have said they'll try to use the debt limit as a next pressure point. Would you negotiate with them in that context? President Obama: no. And I've been very clear about this. This is the United States of America. The greatest country on earth, the world's economic superpower. And the idea that we lurch from crisis to crisis, and every 6 months, or every 9 months. That we threaten not to pay our bills on stuff we've already bought, and default. And ruin the full faith and credit of the United States of America. That's not how you run a great country. So I put forward a very clear principle: I will not negotiate around the debt ceiling. We're not going to play the same game that we saw happen in 2011, which was hugely destructive. Hurt our economy, provided more uncertainty to the business community than anything else that happened. And I'm not alone in this. If you go to Wall Street, including talking to a whole bunch of folks who spent a lot of money trying to beat me, they would say it would be disastrous for us to use the debt ceiling as a cudgel to try to win political points on Capitol Hill. So we're not going to do that, which is why I think that part of what I hope over the next couple of days. We see is a recognition that there is a way to go ahead and get what it is that you've been fighting for. These guys have been fighting for spending cuts. They can get some very meaningful spending cuts. This would amount to $2 trillion in spending cuts over the last couple of years. And in exchange, they're getting a little over $1 trillion in revenue. And that meets the pledge that I made during the campaign. Which was $2 to $2.50 of spending cuts for every revenue increase. And that's an approach that I think most Americans think is appropriate. But I will not negotiate around a debt ceiling. We're not going to do that again. Question, sir, may I ask a question about Newtown, please? President Obama, yes, I've got David Jackson. Question, thank you, Mr. President. Getting back to the gun issue. You alluded to the fact that Washington commissions don't have the greatest reputation in the world. What makes you think this one is going to be different given the passage of time? And the political power of gun rights groups like the National Rifle Association? President Obama, well, this is not going to be a commission. Joe is going to gather up some key cabinet members who have an interest in this issue. We're going to reach out to a bunch of stakeholders. We're going to be reaching out to members of Congress who have an interest in this issue. It's not as if we have to start from scratch. There are a whole bunch of proposals that have been thought about, debated. But hopefully also some new ideas in terms of how we deal with this issue. Their task is going to be to sift through every good idea that's out there. And even take a look at some bad ideas before disposing of them, and come up with a concrete set of recommendations in about a month. And I would hope that our memories aren't so short that what we saw in Newtown isn't lingering with us. That we don't remain passionate about it only a month later. And as soon as we get those recommendations, I will be putting forward very specific proposals. I will be talking about them in my State of the Union, and we will be working with interested members of Congress to try to get some of them done. And the idea that we would say this is terrible, this is a tragedy, never again. And we don't have the sustained attention span to be able to get this done over the next several months doesn't make sense. I have more confidence in the American people than that. I have more confidence in the parents, the mothers and fathers that I've been meeting over. The last several days all across the country from all political persuasions. Including a lot of gun owners, who say, you know what, this time we've got to do things differently. Question, what about the NRA? President Obama, well, the NRA is an organization that has members who are mothers and fathers. And I would expect that they've been impacted by this as well. And hopefully they'll do some self-reflection. And here's what we know that any single gun law can't solve all. These problems. We're going to have to look at mental health issues. We're going to have to look at schools. There are going to be a whole range of things that Joe's group looks at. We know that issues of gun safety will be an element of it. And what we've seen over the last 20 years, 15 years. Is the sense that anything related to guns is somehow an encroachment on the Second Amendment. What we're looking for here is a thoughtful approach that says we can preserve our Second Amendment. We can make sure that responsible gun owners are able to carry out their activities. But that we're going to actually be serious about the safety side of this. That we're going to be serious about making sure that something like Newtown or Aurora doesn't happen again. And there is a big chunk of space between what the Second Amendment means and having no rules at all. And that space is what Joe is going to be working on to try to identify where we can find some common ground. So I'm going to take one last question. Go ahead, Jake. Question: it seems to a lot of observers that you made the political calculation. In 2008 in your first term and in 2012 not to talk about gun violence. You had your position on renewing the ban on semi-automatic rifles that then Senator Biden put into place. But you didn't do much about it? This is not the first issue, the first incident of horrific gun violence of your 4 years. Where have you been? President Obama, well, here's where I've been, Jake. I've been President of the United States dealing with the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. An auto industry on the verge of collapse, 2 wars. I don't think I've been on vacation. And so I think all of us have to do some reflection on how we prioritize what we do here in Washington. And as I said on Sunday, this should be a wake-up call for all of us to say that if we are not getting right the need to keep our children safe, then nothing else matters. And it's my commitment to make sure that we do everything we can to keep our children safe. A lot of things go in are involved in that, Jake. So making sure they've got decent health care and making sure they've got a good education. Making sure that their parents have jobs. Those are all relevant as well. Those aren't just sort of side issues. But there's no doubt that this has to be a central issue. And that's exactly why I'm confident that Joe is going to take this so seriously over the next couple months. All right. Thank you, everybody. Barack Obama. On reducing gun violence and making our communities safer. Delivered January 5, 2015, White House, Washington, D. See. Mark, I want to thank you for your introduction. I still remember the first time we met, the time we spent together. And the conversation we had about Daniel. And that changed me that day. And my hope, earnestly, has been that it would change the country. "5 years ago this week, a sitting member of Congress and 18 others were shot at a supermarket in Tucson, Arizona. It wasn't the first time I had to talk to the nation in response to a mass shooting. Nor would it be the last. Fort Hood, Binghamton, Aurora, Oak Creek. Newtown. The Navy Yard. Santa Barbara. Charleston. San Bernardino. Too many. Audience member, too many. Audience member, too many. Audience member, too many. President Obama, thanks to a great medical team and the love of her husband. Mark, my dear friend and colleague, Gabby Giffords, survived. She's here with us today, with her wonderful mom. Thanks to a great medical team, her wonderful husband, Mark, who, by the way, the last time I met with Mark, this is just a small aside, you may know Mark's twin brother is in outer space. He came to the office, and I said, "How often are you talking to him?" And he says, "Well, I usually talk to him every day, but the call was coming in right before the meeting." So I think I may have not answered his call, which made me feel kind of bad. That's a long distance call. So I told him if his brother Scott is calling today, that he should take it. Turn the ringer on.